Because 99% of these men are not going to be your husband.
Facts.
But do you see them as brothers?
My God.
Do you see them as brothers? Because whenever we see an attractive man of God, we automatically think husband. If he ain't married and he's single, it's husband. But if you only marrying one man, that means 99.9% of these men are not your spouse.
They're literally your brother.
So if you're not encountering them as your brother and you're not seeing your opportunity to disciple them just in your own modesty, it's a discipleship of that man.
It really is.
It's a vibe. Can't black and shine. Can't kill my high.
What is advice to a woman that is trying to be modest, where she is actually desiring, like, I know I need to cover up a little more. Like, what practical advice would you give to a woman that is in search?
I want to ask you that.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, y'all know I always talk about my modesty journey, and I've never really been immodest. Like, I can pull up pictures from when I was out here and I still wasn't out here, because I am a church girl. Like, I've been in church my whole life, but when I decided, so first and foremost, modesty for me started exactly what you're talking about, character. Like, that was the first thing that the Lord hit, and it overflowed into my external. So because even now, like, y'all, I was watching some sermon, and let me just say this. Here's a tea moment. So I was in a group of wives, and the wives were saying how they feel flattered when a man compliments them, or they're like, girl, I still got it. And I'm like, I'm sitting here like, am I abnormal? Because it disgusts me. Like, I hate when men look at me.
I'm the same way.
I hate when I can tell you're sexualizing me when you're I will be done with you. Like, you might have once upon a time been a brother in Christ, but as soon as I see that, I'm like, I gotta run away. I gotta go. And so first and foremost, the Lord started checking my character and how I was showing up in the room with men. Like, are you seeking to be seen? Are you seeking to get up and walk around? Are you seeking to, and even, I could be fully dressed, but even how you talk, like, I was just like, that feeling, you know how to flirt, you know how to be enticing and set, like, we have that. And so he checked that. He checked me getting, and then why do you feel the need to do that? And so God actually put me on a strict external modesty journey, where he was like, no, you aren't gonna wear pants. No, you aren't gonna wear crop tops. No, you aren't. Like, he took those things away from me, not because this was that look and this is what modesty is, but he wanted me to feel how I felt being covered up. And what I felt was, I'm not getting attention, and I don't like this. Men aren't looking at me anymore. Men are, and he's like, bingo, and that's what I want to talk to you about. And so he touched my internal, he touched the desire to need to be seen. He touched that desire to need to be wanted and be desired. And I'm not sexy. Like, I gotta show up in this room. Like, what are you talking about? Cover up. And so he touched that. And the first way that he touched that is he let me know that I was his daughter. And he said, I don't want you to go out amongst these wolves as a piece of meat. And not only that, I need you to see their eyes. I need you to see them and how they look at you from their perspective. And one thing that he highlighted to me was that I was desiring community, but I was just getting lust. And I confused the two.
Sheesh.
I confused people liking me, but they were just lusting after me. I confused friendships, and they just liked that I look good. And so he highlighted He highlighted those desires. He showed me that this attention is not good. Like, sincerely, it's not good. It is not something to want. And then he highlighted, I want to show you how honor feels. And so when I went through this journey of wearing what I was wearing, like, I talked about this on Tapping with TK before, did a whole experiment of dresses and just even my makeup. Like, I stopped caking it on. I stopped the long lashes with the whips. And now, this is no shade, because I might throw on some lashes tomorrow. I don't know. But in that season, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And he said, I remember I was in a room It was my first time doing a sermon, and I like barely had on makeup, and I had on this flowy dress. It wasn't grandma. I looked great, and I just remembered how God highlighted these men so vividly to me, and they're opening up the doors, and they're saying woman of God, and you see they're like not looking down, and like okay, let me finish that. So he highlighted that and how the men treated me that day. And I started to remember how openly men used to look at me like, and open the door and look at my butt, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I used to like that. Like they're literally having sex with me right now. And so, girl, what was the question?
No, you saying some good things.
I forgot the question at this point, but
how to advise women to be modest.
yes. Sometimes I do think it reminds me of me and Amdi talk about this all the time. Sometimes it is actually stripping everything away for you to just see you. So it's not a look, but sometimes you do need to see, how do you feel, woman of God, if your breasts aren't showing? That's your favorite asset. How do you walk in a room if they don't show anymore? How do you feel when you don't wear those tight pants anymore? How do you feel when you're not wearing that bodycon dress? Like, are you still confident? Like, and so I think that was the first thing that he led me to, was absolutely, he stripped. And it was only for a few months, honestly. He stripped everything. He took, girl, I went in my closet. I had a bunch of Fashion Nova stuff, and not saying nothing wrong with it, but I had a bunch of like crop tops and like just super mini skirts. Literally cleared my closet out, trash bags, took it to the Goodwill up the street from my house, and exchanged all of it for skirts and dresses. And as I was just going through it, as I was clearing out my closet, I was just like, why am I doing this? What is the point? Like, I'm not. And he's like, the fact that you're even like rumbling and mumbling in your spirit, this is a journey you gotta go on. You're gonna have to go on it. And so it's something that, man, it changed my entire being. Like it's my ministry now, to teach women to desire honor over lust.
Jesus.
Like, want honor over a man looking at you. Want a man to immediately, like, I love now when a man, like, I know you married in his. You know what I'm saying? And I want that for you, even as a single woman.
Jesus.
Like, I want him to be like, I know somebody that got you. Like, I know that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that would be my advice, is to really ask the Lord, like, we think it's deep, and it is in a way, but sometimes it's like, no, you just cannot wear that for a season, because you're finding your confidence in your shape. And so, yeah.
And you know what's so good about what you said? This is where I see your maturation in this comment. She was not only paying attention to how she was feeling, but she was paying attention to how people received her. And I think part of the maturation as a woman of God is understanding that you're not responsible for, but you can be influential to or accountable to men of God.
Yes.
Right? So she's not just concerned at this point with her own disposition, but she's concerned about making sure that they're not falling off track.
Absolutely.
That she's not causing a Jezebelic nature in herself
that
would honestly, if you invite the enemy to do anything, he will do it. All he needs is an open invitation. So if you invite that Jezebel nature inside of you, because we all have the ability to, and I'm not talking about basic flirting, I'm talking about, you know what you're doing.
Agenda.
When you have an agenda on you,
It's
know you
an
can
agenda to wake up and be like, I'm about to kill it in this dress when I walk in this room.
And I'm gonna make every man in here turn, and I have the capacity to do it to him, and him. And when you know that nature and that disposition, and I've been there before, so I understand where you're coming from.
Ma'am.
I think when you know that about yourself, you are dismissing the fact that you have an accountability to also men of God and to helping them on their Christian walk. I think that's the maturation.
My God.
That's the maturation point of like, man, let me help these men.
Yeah.
Right? Let me help these men by not even creating an environment where I am inciting anything worse. That it's already hard.
So good.
It's already hard to be celibate. It's already hard to keep our eyes on our spouses. It's already hard
for a man.
It's especially hard. And again, please don't take this the wrong way and think that I'm saying that women are responsible for how men are moving, because they're accountable to their own walk, their own journey. But what I am saying is, if you can help, because 99% of these men are not going to be your husband.
Facts.
But do you see them as brothers?
My God.
Do you see them as brothers? Because whenever we see an attractive man of God, we automatically think husband. If he ain't married and he's single, it's husband. But if you only marrying one man, that means 99.9% of these men are not your spouse.
They're literally your brother.
So if you're not encountering them as your brother and you're not seeing your opportunity to disciple them just in your own modesty, it's a discipleship of that man.
It really is.
And TK took it upon herself to be like, man, not only do I want honor, but I want to show them how to honor a woman that's not going to be their wife.
Yeah.
And who's just
That's
going to
so
be their
good.
sister.
That's so good.
Right. And it also brings reverence to her husband.
Yes.
That's a whole nother subject.
Oh, baby.
Because I feel like even in singleness, when you're marriage minded in singleness, this is how I can tell discern the difference. When you're marriage minded in your singleness, you have an awareness that there is a covenant at play.
My God.
Even before a man becomes my husband, I am preparing to be a wife, and I'm thinking about the character and the model that I should be from before my husband arrives. Far before my husband ever arrives. And that's not going to mean that I'm going to get it all perfect or I'm
Right.
truly going to understand. I'm going to learn things in marriage. Like, I'm humble enough to say that there's wisdom that will come 20 years, 30 years down the line.
Yeah.
But there are some things you can do to prepare, and that's one of the things. And if you are marriage minded and you are in the mind of Christ about a husband, honor him by honoring yourself.
Yeah.
Honoring your own body, honoring just how you move.
My God.
Move like a wife. You want to be a wife, move like a wife.
So good.